listening to the Dynamic Women podcast. Each week, you'll be inspired by our global community of women. They'll share with you tools and stories to help you be dynamic in every area of life. Here's your host, award-winning coach, and the CEO and founder of Dynamic Women, Diane Rolston. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Diane Rolston Show. Are you struggling with not getting where you want to go? We're going to talk about that today. We're going to talk about how to stop being a victim of your circumstances, stop being a victim of your life and your business, and move into that place of being a hero. And so for those of you joining me right now, please let me know where you're joining me from and where do you want to be a hero in your life. That's really important that you actually know where you want to be a hero and where you don't want to be a victim. Because if you can figure that piece out, you're going to be able to move forward so much more easier. You're going to have more confidence about you and you're going to have the results that you want. And so if you actually don't fully know who I am at all, I am a co-active coach. I am in North Vancouver, BC. I'm also a speaker, a trainer, and I run a women's community, global community called Dynamic Women. And so I'm going to go into it. I'm going to deep dive into the piece around stop being a victim. And then I'm going to hear from you. I'm going to hear what your comments are. And so feel free to write in the chat room. And then after that, I'm going to talk about how to be more of a hero in your life. And then I'm going to move into talking about that. And then I'm going to take your questions and comments. Okay. So kind of a recap here of where we're going. Welcome everyone who's just joining us. Are you struggling with not getting where you want to be in life and business? There's a potential that you are being actually a victim in that. And so I want to make sure that today we talk about how to stop being a victim and in your life and business, and to help you be the hero, right? You want to be the hero in your life instead. So here we go. Now, no matter what, where you're at, if you don't have a business, it could be your career, it could be in where you're at with your family, your relationships, with your kids, with your church. It's all areas of life that this can show up in. So don't just think it has to be in your business, because it doesn't have to be there, just there. So how can you be a victim? Well, you can be a victim in different circumstances. And I don't mean the truest sense of someone has fully harmed you. I don't mean in that case. I mean in the way that you are not taking responsibility for where you're at. You're a victim of your circumstances, whatever it may be. You're playing kind of that card rather than getting into a place of I'm owning where I'm at. I'm owning what's happening. So let me say the 3 ways that you can stop being a victim of your life, your circumstances. The first one is to stop blaming others. Stop blaming others for where you're at. Stop blaming others for your circumstances. And I get it. And this is probably going to trigger a lot of you, that there are probably people in your life that are to blame for a lot of things. But the thing is that if they are not going to take responsibility for it, no matter how hard you push for it, and this is, again, not anything that has to do with, any legal matters. But if you're going to be oh, because the guy across the street plays his music loud, that's why I can't read at night. If you're going to blame because someone else doesn't like to go and do this activity, I can't go and do this activity because they're someone close in my life. We have to stop blaming others, because if they're not going to take control over responsibility over what their piece is, we're going to constantly be in the same space of being a victim. The second piece is, I encourage you to stop saying yes and then resenting it. Now, how do we come to this place? And I get to this place quite often as well. I see that there is a need for something and I really feel passionate about it and I really want to support it. And I know that I have the capabilities, and maybe you're in that position too, that someone has asked you to do something, you know you can do it, and so it just makes sense that you say yes and you do it. Especially if you think you have the time and you have the ability and no one else is doing it. However, we often will say yes when we are time strapped, when we don't have the emotional bandwidth to take care of it. And it's just going to place us in that position of a victim. And so we can be resenting of the fact that we volunteered for something. We've asked, like said we would do something. We've committed to something. And it could even be like committing to a project at work for your business or something for a client that you've said that you would do, and then you resent it. So what I encourage you to do is, when you know that you're resenting it, go back and make changes. I had to do this recently. I was dropping the ball because just my bandwidth isn't there. And I had to own that. And then rather than be resenting, because I started to feel resentment, I had to own it. I had to own what was happening. Actually, I can't be in the hero yet. I'm going to get to the hero piece. I'm going to pause myself right now. So stop saying yes and resenting it. So how do you check in that you're not going to do this? Really look at what your personal goals are. Look at what you want to accomplish and make sure you can continue to have the right amount of space before you say yes. Okay, and if you say yes and then you resent it, you need to check in with your priorities, and maybe it's time to reevaluate and to then say no, or I'm sorry, I can't. The third thing that you can do, the last thing I'm going to talk about how to stop being a victim of your circumstances and victim in situations, is to stop giving up before you even start. So the conversation often will go like this: I'd love to do that, but I can't, I'm not. Oh yeah, Diane, I'd love to speak on stages, but I'm not that confident. Oh, Diane, I'd love to write a book, but I don't have that much to say. These are things I hear. Diane, I'd love to leave this job and go do my business full time, but I can't because I feel like many people give up before they even start, before they even give it a try. Now, I'm not saying if you've cash flowed a business and it doesn't look like it's going to be good, that you should still do it because it's a passion of yours. No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that you should take on or do something that is not a viable position to do it in. But so many times people give up. They give excuses before they even give it a try, before they even give themselves permission to dream about it. They're like, yeah, I can't have that. I can't do that. Well, why can't you? You know, there's a friend in my life, and they sold their place and they got an RV and they traveled around. Like, why can't you do that? And if you think, oh, I can't do that because, look at the true fear that you have that is holding you back. Look at that piece that if you had just pushed that aside, moved that aside, figured out how you can move forward with it, think of how much better life would be. And so stop giving up before you even start. Check in on your limiting beliefs. You really got to look at those limiting beliefs and see where you're at. These three are the three things that are going to help you stop being a victim. Now, there are hundreds more. I know there's lots more, but these are the three I want to focus on today because they are the three that I'm hearing the most from clients, the most from people in my life, the most when I watch other people's videos, when I watch their posts. So stop blaming others, stop saying yes and resenting it, and stop giving up before you start. We stop blaming others because we can't control others. We can only control ourselves. We have to stop saying yes and resenting it because we're putting other people's agendas before our own and then sucking it up, and it's killing us. And then we have to stop giving up before we start because we're crushing our own dreams, we're limiting our own abilities, and we're not going to ever reach our goals. Where do you feel like you're a victim? What situations do you struggle with that have you feel like a victim? Or where are family, friends, people in your lives showing up as victims? Where have you guys felt that you are struggling, where you have been held back? And I'm going to be moving soon into the 3 ways to be a hero. You maybe have been hearing if we stop doing this, then what do we do on the other side? So I'm going to explain or give 3 ideas, 3 things that you can do easily today, things that you can start to implement in your life. Okay, let's get into the 3. Anybody want to hear the 3 ways to be a hero? If you're here, give me some like or loves. Let me know that you're listening and that you want to know what the three positives are. The 3 ways to be a hero in your life. Here we go. Here are the 3 ways to be a hero in your life and your business. The first thing to do is to put your goals first. Put your goals first. Now, the problem with this one is I see people don't even know what their goals are. I did an activity the other day at CAPS, which is Canadian Association of Professional Speakers. I'm a member there. I'm a part of the board. And in that space, I ran an icebreaker, and the question was, what are your dreams? What's your dream? And one of the ladies said, oh my goodness, I don't know. I don't know what I want. And so if you don't know what you want, if you don't know what you need, if you don't know what your goals are, figure that out first. Otherwise, you're always going to put other people's goals at first, unless you know what yours are. So again, if you want to join one of my groups, one of my classes on how to measure your success and find balance, that's where you're going to do that. That's where you're going to find that out. And so if you are listening to this and you're like, how do I get on one of those? You can email info@DianeRolston.com and find out how to join the next masterclass. And that is complimentary because I want people to know what their goals are. Number 2 of the way to be a hero in your own life is to be self-full. Be self-full. Be not selfish. It's a negative word. Be self-full, full of self, filling yourself up. People say, fill up your cup, fill up your bucket so that you can then give from a full bucket. No, fill from your saucer. What that means is that your cup overflowed. Your cup had so much in it, it went into the saucer. And when you fill from the saucer, your cup is never even a little bit empty. Be self-full. Do the things that fill you up. If you're feeling weak, if you're feeling tired, if you're feeling malnourished, unhealthy, if you're feeling any of these negative things, you are not going to be able to fully be a hero. You are going to feel more like a victim. I've been having some late nights, and I know for me, that has me struggling to be a full hero in my life. And so I need to rein that in. I need to get myself back on track. And so I'm curious for you, what is it that has you be not feeling full? What is it that has you deplete your bucket? Figure out what those things are and fix it. If it's up to you, then fix it. Put something into place. If it's up to somebody else, if someone else is taking away from you, then you need to figure out how you can regain control of that. So now you have solutions. Now you have ways to be hero in put your goals first and how to figure that out. How to be self-full, how to fill yourself up. The third way to be a hero in your own life is to take responsibility for yourself and your actions. I had to own up recently where I dropped the ball in a role that I had. And, it sucked. And my ego was like, don't say that it was your responsibility. Make an excuse. No, I had to take responsibility. I'd be like, sorry, guys, that was me. I should have done that. I dropped the ball. But that's how now I can gain control. Because I didn't just say I dropped the ball, but I said, and this is what I'm going to do about it. This is how I'm going to fix it. So that's how we can be a hero. When I hear people say, when I have an event, oh, I can't make it because I've got this to do or that to do. And I think you didn't manage your time well. Like, you need to take responsibility. It doesn't say, I didn't manage my time well, and so I can't come to your event that I committed to. And instead I have to do this. Okay. Don't be like blaming the wind that blew by. Take responsibility. In this case, my feeling is, and you can let me know if you feel differently, that people will respect you more if you take responsibility for yourself and your actions. This also might mean that you have to be honest with where you're at. You have to share what's going on in your life. In this case, I was like, sorry guys, it was me, and I'm a little bit distracted because of these things that are happening in my life. Like my dad having cancer and dealing with that has thrown me. And it's not an excuse. It's also not a reason. It's just a fact of what's happening. And so I now have to know, like, where is that throwing me off, and how can I fix that, and how can I take responsibility for it? And so I encourage you to do it too. And it feels so much better to just be like, yep, okay, I take responsibility for that. And then have a game plan moving forward. Having a game plan means you're back in control, means that you can get to where you want to be and not be a victim. So now you have the 3 ways to stop being a victim, the 3 ways to be a hero in your own life. And I'd love to hear from you. What are some ways that you feel that people need to stop being a victim? And what are ways that you feel that you can step into being a hero? As I said, with being a victim, there are hundreds of ways to not do that. There are also hundreds of ways to be a hero. Today, for simplicity, I'm sharing with you 3 of each. Okay, well, bye everyone. I'll see you next week. Thank you for joining me. And I encourage you, stop being a victim. Look for places in your life where you're doing one of these 3 things, or maybe all of these 3 things. And look for how you can be a hero in your own life. Take control of things. Move yourself forward. Have you be full of self, full of satisfaction, and start reaching your goals more often. Bye, everyone. Take care and stay dynamic.
Thank you, Dynamic Women, for joining us today. Please hop on over to iTunes to subscribe and leave us a review. Who do you know who needs to hear our message? We'd love it if you'd share our channel with your friends and family. If you're ready to be more dynamic, have more balance and more success, head over to www.dynamicwomenclub.com/free gift for your Key to Success book. Stay dynamic.